Welcome back to the Creatives Do Business Well podcast, a space of co-creation for solo creative entrepreneurs just like you, craving that transition from being a struggling artist to a successful creator. Keisha Andrea here. I'm your host, your multi-passionate business sister, and photographer turned holistic brand and content strategist. I tie branding, content creation, systems, and scaling your business back to everyday life. And my goal is to help you not only run a business, but find that sweet balance between your passion and profits and doing business as a creator exceptionally well. Welcome back. This is the first episode in our special bonus series called Go With The Flow, Then Get Back to Business. Today, we're going to get into the Root Chakra, which is all about feeling safe, stable, and secure in the energy center at the base of your spine. Our topic for today, why you keep going back to hustle culture, even when you know better. If you've ever promised yourself you're going to set better boundaries, raise your prices, stop working weekends, only to find yourself right back in the hustle a month or two later, you've read the books about rest, you listened to the podcast, watched the YouTube videos about slow business, probably even paid for coaching about creating a sustainable business. You know better. So why do you keep falling back into the same exhausting patterns? And today we're going to talk about why this happens. And spoiler alert, it is not because you lack discipline or willpower. It's much deeper than that. So we're going to start at the root. But I need to be honest with you about something. I talk about how I don't hustle now, but for a long time, I was the queen of hustle. I would wake up at 5 a.m. to work on my business. I would skip lunch breaks to answer client emails and work on projects that I had for clients. I would say yes to projects I knew would drain me just because I was afraid to turn down money. Working till midnight, sometimes even later, and still feeling guilty that I wasn't doing enough. I was exhausting myself, but I could not stop. Even when my body was screaming at me to rest, even when friends and family told me that I was doing too much or that I needed to get out, I needed to get away from the computer, even when I literally couldn't keep my eyes open. Looked like I hadn't had no rest. I read all the books about work-life balance, watched the YouTube videos, listened to the podcast. I knew better, but when you grow up watching adults in your life work multiple jobs just to make ends meet, when you've worked since you were 15 years old just so you can have things that you can pay for because your parents couldn't afford it, when you've experienced financial insecurity, being homeless growing up many times, staying in hotels and motels, and when society has told you that your worth is tied to how much you produce. And this is all I've seen growing up. My body and my nervous system were programmed to believe that if I slowed down, every single thing in my business and my life would fall apart. So taking a day off felt physically unsafe. Turning down work felt like I was dooming myself to be poor or live in poverty. Raising my prices felt like I was risking everything. And that, my friend, is a root chakra issue, because your root chakra is the part of you that asks, am I safe? Do I have enough? Will I survive? And when the answer feels uncertain, you'll find yourself back into hustle mode, doing what you already know, even when you know that it's not sustainable. Now, I want to talk specifically about something that isn't discussed enough in the business world. As a Black woman entrepreneur, my relationship with hustle culture has layers that mainstream business conversations don't address all the time. For Black women or men like me, hustle is generational. It is in our DNA through centuries of having to work twice as hard for half as much, watching our mothers, grandmothers, great-grandmothers push through exhaustion because rest wasn't an option that they were afforded. Think about the elders who cleaned houses during the day and did alterations at night, or worked full-time while getting their degree. You see women who had to hustle not as a choice, but as a requirement for survival in a world that placed multiple barriers in our path. When you come from a lineage of women who couldn't afford to rest, taking a day off can feel like you're betraying their sacrifice sometimes. Setting boundaries can feel like you're messing up opportunities that they never had. Prioritizing your well-being can trigger deep ancestral guilt. Black women business owners face big root chakra issues. Studies consistently show that we receive less funding, less mentorship, and less benefit of the doubt in our jobs and in the marketplace. We are in environments where our professionalism and our competence is questioned a lot of times, and our mistakes are judged more harshly than our white counterparts. We live in a world where professional most times means you have to conform to white standards. We have to code switch. We have to manage everybody else's comfort, represent not just ourselves when we show up in places, but our entire community in predominantly white spaces. Safety isn't just about having money. You have to navigate systems that weren't built with us in mind. For most of us, hustle became a protection strategy, working these long hours, being over prepared, executing everything down to the T. This is the armor that we put on to navigate these hostile environments. Our ancestors' hustle was necessary for their survival, but our continuation of these patterns isn't honoring their legacy. The true way to honor their sacrifice is to claim the rest that they could not have, to build the wealth that they could not access, to experience the freedom that they fought for. And this is why I don't stop when it comes to my business, because like I said, I've been working since I was 15 years old. And if you want to count babysitting, it was before that. How I moved through this healing, the root chakra, it's mostly about breaking generational patterns and recognizing that my wellness is not selfish. It's a radical and revolutionary act. When I refuse to sacrifice my health, I'm creating new possibilities for those that are going to come after me, and still honoring the people that came before me and getting all the rest that they deserve. So let's talk about what really happens when you can't seem to break free from hustle culture. You always find yourself coming back. First, understand that your body doesn't know the difference between physical danger and financial stress. When you worry about money, your body responds the same way if you were being chased by a lion. Your body releases stress hormones, your breathing gets shallow, your muscles get tense, your thinking is now turned into a short-term focus, and you're just trying to figure out how to get yourself out of this situation. In this state, you literally cannot access the part of your brain that makes these long-term decisions. So you take on any client, you work any hour, you push through any boundary because your survival brain is running the show now. And all of this is tied to bigger systems in our history. For most of our history, our ancestors lived in balance with natural rhythms. They worked when it was necessary. They rested when the body required it and celebrated in community. But we haven't seen that over the last few hundred years. Traditional cultures worldwide understood that constant production was not the point of existence, and that's all we're living for now. Being the most productive is put on a pedestal when you're a creative business owner. That's not how our ancestors were. They were taking care of each other. They were prioritizing connecting with the community, and they were living in harmony. Then came all of these different changes in how society was organized. When human worth became tied to productivity, rest is seen as lazy. Natural resources is something that you use up instead of honoring. These systems weren't built for our well-being. They were built to extract, point blank period. Take our labor, take our resources, take our wealth, and they rely on keeping us in a constant state of insecurity and not feeling like we're enough. So we'll continue to participate, even at the cost of our health and our happiness. And to add to this, women, people of color, immigrants, disabled people, and any other kind of marginalized group who often had to work twice as hard for half the recognition, it's no wonder hustle culture has this hold on us. So who gets caught in this cycle? This pattern typically affects creative entrepreneurs who grew up with financial insecurity or watched their parents struggle with money. You come from communities where stable income isn't the norm. You have experienced so many financial losses or career setbacks. You are first generation business owners without any financial safety nets. You live in places with high cost of living, but not enough competitive wages that pay you enough. You are in these marginalized communities where rest has been a luxury, not something that you have to have. You're being caregivers and responsible for other people's well-being. So what does root chakra imbalance look like in business? I want to talk about a few of those ways. Fear-based pricing, you charge what you think people will pay instead of what your work is worth. You apologize for your prices or you give discounts all the time before somebody even asks you. When you try to raise your prices, you feel physically anxious. You get sweaty palms, your heart starts beating, your stomach starts turning, or maybe you go between completely being overwhelmed with your work and then immediately terrified that nobody's going to ever hire you again. This constant back and forth cycle. During the busy times, you take on too much because you're afraid that the work is going to disappear. Or during the slow times, you panic and you make these desperate decisions. A root chakra imbalance can also look like you constantly checking your email, checking your bank account, or checking your social media, looking for signs that you're okay, that the money is coming in, that people still want what you offer instead of just letting it be. Or you having weak boundaries. You say that you're going to stop working at 6 p.m., but then a client texts you or email you at 10 o'clock and you're still doing work for them. You promise yourself you aren't going to work these weekends, but Saturday morning comes around and you end up working the whole day. Another imbalance in the root chakra is also physical exhaustion. Your body is going to give you the warning signs, the headaches, the back pain, the digestive issues, insomnia, but you're going to still push through because stopping feels more dangerous than suffering. Or the biggest one, even when you have enough money, you still feel anxious. Even when clients are lined up, you're booked and busy, quote unquote, you still feel like everything could disappear tomorrow. This is all because a balanced root chakra isn't actually about how much money you have. It's about your relationships with safety and stability. You can have $1 million in the bank account and still operate from fear if your root chakra is blocked. So when do these patterns typically show up? During what most of us are experiencing right now, an uncalled recession or any kind of economic uncertainty. You've lost a major client or a major source of your income. More people are starting to do the same things that you're doing. Sometimes when your personal financial pressure has increased, you have a new home, you have family changes, you have to care for somebody now during tax season or when those large expenses hit around the beginning of the month when the rent is due and most bills are due, around holidays or family gatherings where your worth might be questioned, or when you're seeing others' apparent success on social media, these contexts that celebrate the grind and the 24/7 hustle culture, and you feel like you have to do the same too. Why does all of this matter so much though? Because your root chakra being in balance makes you make decisions from a place of fear instead of what you already know. Sacrifice your health, your relationships, and creativity just to feel a little bit more secure or make a little bit more money. But is it really worth it? You might think hustle is helping you build a successful business. It's undermining what you already know in your foundation. A business built on fear and survival can't truly thrive in the long term. It's going to get you through whatever season you're in, but years later, you're going to come back to this same problem. Not only are you just healing yourself, you are participating in a much needed collective healing when you balance your root chakra. You are rejecting this lie that your worth is tied to your productivity. You're challenging systems that profit from your exhaustion. You are reclaiming what your ancestors never had and all of the rest that they deserve, all of the times that they pushed harder, worked harder. In this world that tells you to hustle harder, choosing stability over survival is a radical act of resistance. So what can you do if you recognize these patterns in yourself? First, acknowledge you are not personally failing. It's a completely understandable response that's developed for good reason. Your hustle kept you safe when you needed it, and it made perfect sense, being that you are navigating all of these things. But you can explore some different ways ways to do this. Reconnect with your ancestors and what they went through. Most cultures have practices for grounding and safety that existed long before this system that we're navigating right now. Look at what your ancestors might have done to be secure, even while navigating similar things that we're experiencing now. Also, pay attention to when your body goes into survival mode around money decisions. Like, okay, there's this tightness in my chest when I think about raising my prices. That begins to create space between those triggers that you're having and how you're going to react going forward. Question these systems. When you feel the pressure to hustle, ask yourself, is this my actual need, or is this a demand from a system that is continuously benefiting from my exhaustion? Sometimes just naming what these things are can loosen up the grip. You can also start to look for evidence of safety. Your nervous system needs proof that you're going to be okay even when you're not hustling. Start tracking the ways that you're actually secure. Skills, community support, past experiences of bouncing back. All of that is evidence. I am grateful for my community. I have felt safe through everything that I have went through because of the people that I have around me. Root chakra healing can be supported through your community. Collaboration over competition. Think about how you can collaborate with folks instead of competing with them. Share resources. Build mutual aid networks within your industry. The goal isn't to never work hard. Hustle has its place. The goal is to work from a place of choice instead of feeling like you have to work hard. Build your business on solid ground. I have found a lot of healing in researching and incorporating all of these different practices from West African traditions that speak to ways that you can heal your root chakra, like grounding and stability. The practice of pouring libations. You're acknowledging that you stand on the shoulders of those who came before you and that their wisdom can support you with whatever you're going through right now. Or knowing that security comes from community, not just what you can do on your own. When you have a strong community, resources flow where they need to be. Placing your feet on the grass, remembering that you belong to something that's been here way longer than you have. Doing these things bring you back to things that you were deliberately taken from. Things that can help you heal the very disconnection that fuels hustle culture. When I feel like I have to overwork, I ask myself, what would my ancestors want for me? Would they want me to exhaust myself, or would they want me to claim the rest and abundance that they work toward? Usually I know the answer. They would want me to thrive, not just out here trying to survive and trying to make it. So I want to leave you with this thought. You deserve to feel safe in your business, not just financially successful, physically, emotionally safe. Safe enough to rest, safe enough to set boundaries, safe enough to trust that if you take care of yourself, your business is still going to thrive. Your business can only truly thrive when it's built on foundations of stability. For those of us from communities that have been denied this safety and stability, when you claim your right to rest, when you set boundaries that honor your well-being, when you build a business that serves your life instead of consuming it and taking from your life force, you're participating in a lineage healing practice. You're telling folks the exploitation stops with me. You're saying I am worthy of stability, not because of what I produce, but because of who I am. Your ancestors already did all the work to provide you a future where you could thrive, and you honor them by claiming that future. When you heal your relationship with safety and stability, you're not just changing your business. It's a shift that values human well-being over constant production. We are not machines. We honor our natural cycles, especially in a world obsessed with hustle culture. I invite you to pay attention this week. Notice when you slip into hustle mode. Notice what is triggering those feelings of scarcity or panic. Notice where you feel it in your body. And then instead of judging yourself for it, get curious. Ask yourself, what does my root chakra need from me right now to feel safe? And if you're ready to go deeper and look at what's actually blocking your root chakra, specific steps to address it, I invite you to go and get the free business chakra report card. The link is in the show notes, and it'll give you some guidance based on your unique situation and where you might be blocked. In the next episode of this series, we're going to go into the sacral chakra and talk about what to do when your business doesn't feel funny fun anymore. Most of us creatives go through this a lot when our creativity and the things that we love to do now makes us feel numb and we feel obligated to do that. Stick around for the next episode very, very soon. Until then, remember, go with the flow, then get back to business. I'll see you in the next episode. Happy creating. Thank you so much for tuning in. Love today's episode? Go ahead and show us some love and support by leaving a 5-star review. Catch up with me at Keyshandra at Creates or Creatives Do Business Well. We want to reach more creatives like you, so be sure to tell your creative business friends and family about us. Don't just talk about it, be about it, and get out there and cultivate your gift and create the sustainable business you deserve.